Hello and welcome to the Raising Kellen podcast. My name is Marsh Naidu and I blog at raisingkellen.org, where we curate resources for parents raising children with disabilities. In today's episode 97, we chat to some amazing teachers at Houston High School in Germantown, Tennessee, who are going to chat to us more about the Transition School to Work program. So grab that cup of coffee, put your feet up, and get ready for some awesome conversation. Today, I am joined by Catherine Sadler and O'Malley Norbert from Houston High Transition School to Work program. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're so excited to talk.
All right, just before we head into it, I met O'Malley and Caroline at the Memphis Disability Network get-together, which was in July of this year. And for those of you who live in the Northwest or West Tennessee and haven't heard about the Memphis Disability Network, that is a really great community organization to plug into. And I hope to be chatting with Ashley Parks sometime in the near future so she can explain more about the network and the work they do. But without further ado, just a brief introduction. My name is Marsh Naidu. I host this podcast. I am a female of Indian descent, and I have short black hair, and I'm dark skinned. And O'Malley, if you would like to go ahead with a quick introduction and a visual description.
Sure. My name's O'Malley Norbert, and I am a 27-year-old Caucasian female with dark, curly hair. And I have always had an interest in working with people with disabilities. My undergrad was in communication, and somehow every paper I ever wrote was about advocating or working with people with disabilities. I just figured I would work with them in a more corporate setting. And then through being the job coach at Houston High School, I had an opportunity to go back to school and get my master's in special education, which I will finish this fall. And now I am the work-based learning teacher for the Houston Transition Academy Transition to Work program.
And I'm Caroline Sadler. I am tall, Caucasian female with medium brown hair. I am a teacher at Houston High School. I focus on kind of functional academics, as well as all transition skills and a lot of social skills as well. I got into special education. I don't even really have a story about it. I just was in my undergrad program, and I was getting a dual license for general education and special education. And I did my student teaching in a co-teach special education setting. And then I kind of transitioned into more a role at Houston High School for more high needs students. And now I'm working specifically on transition skills, and I love it. And I couldn't imagine working with any other population.
Guys, how did y'all get to Houston High, or how did this program come about? I'm just really interested in the backstory.
So the program at Houston is a new program. We recently transitioned to, I think it was about 5 years ago, to having the alternate academic diploma for our students that enter high school so that they can have something that mirrors or a modified version of their general education peers. And then we thought about, well, after they finish with their alternate academic diploma, that's 4 years. Those next four, they can stay there until they're 22. So the first 4 years and the last 4 years should not look anything like each other. They should be very different, and we should be working and developing skills that are going to best meet the needs of our students. And so, though we've always had work-based learning as a teacher, and that is a credit that you can get on the AAD diploma track, it's not. We decided to kind of revamp it and have it more specifically to the needs and the deficits that that a lot of our students have, which is, community and functional academics, as well as daily living and workplace skills. So we kind of just decided to roll with that. And last year we had 2 teachers, and then the numbers kind of fluctuated, and Caroline came and joined us in the Transition Academy. And It's just it's working perfectly, I think, as of right now, knock on wood. But we've said recently, Caroline's the brains and I'm the muscle of the operation, that we balance each other out very well. She's got more of the school minded thing, and I've got more of the creativity kind of thing. So we very well balance each other out. And then we've got Mr. Brian, who is our amazing daily living teacher, and he kind of grounds us both with his calming nature. He's like, okay, but how are we going to actually do this? And we're like, we're going to figure it out.
I love it. Love it.
The whole program before last year was kind of just all age levels combined, right? Wouldn't you say? Especially since before the alternate academic diploma. I don't know if you'll have heard about that much. It's an alternate diploma track for students in the state of Tennessee, where they can earn an academic diploma.
It's comparative to what the general education diploma. They take all very similar classes. They have similar expectations as far as credit hours and things like that. But as far as each student, it's developed individually as an IEP is. It's catered just to their abilities. And it sometimes can just be as simple as exposing them to certain topics that the other general education students are going to be also exposed to. So before that, we kind of just transitioned from teacher to teacher. There was just, I was actually a paraprofessional. I was the job coach then. And it was just that every group of students would just go from class to class, and they'd have whatever was in their IEP. They'd have English, math, and then like transition and daily living was normally what was written in their IEP. And I feel like that is kind of what we're still doing with our transition academy that we call it. But it's like, instead of like, we have the AAD part where they're getting the exposure, they're getting similar experiences to their general education peers. And then after that, we were like, well, what happens after that? So what happens next? And we saw that they're here for sometimes 7 to 8 years until they're 21 or 22. And these students go through these first 4 years, and the second 4 years should not look the exact same. So we saw like, well, what do they need? And it's like everyone who has a disability wants to feel as normal and prepared for the outside world post-secondary as possible. And so we were like, well, we need to get them ready for a job. Like we need to get them ready for independent living. We need to find out what they want and how we can get them to those goals. So it's kind of how the Transition Academy was made. It was like the stepping stone between a post-secondary program or work or independent living
and where they're at now. So I will say, like, so we kind of have it separated there, the 9th through 12th graders, traditional 9th through 12th graders, the younger kids. And then once they finish those first 4 years, they'll transition to the Transition Academy. Now, we do have a group of students who benefit more that are younger, that benefit more from transition-based academics.
Instruction,
instruction. And so, like, these students whose parents advocate for it, and whose parents and who we also agree would just benefit from, instead of 4 years of kind of academic focus, they would rather them have, and 4 years of transition, they would rather have 8 years of transitional focus. And so we kind of have transitioned to that. So the Transition Academy didn't start necessarily until like last year. Last year was our first like year of it really being like a separate entity within our special ed program. But I would say that a big part of what the Transition Academy is our transition specialist, who has those community partners and who takes those students out to work on a regular basis.
Yeah, our transition specialist, or like we sometimes call her, our transition coordinator. It's a grant that we received through the state of Tennessee. So our transition coordinator, as well as our job coach, is paid for through the state of Tennessee. So their salaries go to the district, and then it pays for their salaries each. And I mean, I don't know if they get it at the beginning of the year or every month, but they're the ones that are fitting the bill. So the district gets an extra employee without having the cost of them. So, and these people are required to document their hours with the children. They're required to see like how many hours they are with each student, and to make sure that every one of our specialized instruction and our co-taught children are receiving services inside the school that, starting at the age of 14, normally when they get to high school, and even in 8th grade when they're transitioning to high school, just to make sure that they can have as much knowledge as like possible, that which Courtney does a really great job about that.
So I will add to that about the services. So she's also responsible for, I don't know if you know what Voc Rehab is, vocational rehabilitation. So she is the person at the school
that gives them that
coordinates with Voc, and provides the information for that.
Sets
and
up
so
meetings.
I'm almost positive every state or every high school in the state has to have a transition coordinator, because they are the ones that coordinate with the state and through the Voc rehabilitation.
Because that's not, I mean, that's definitely not on us. We are not the one, like, we know who sometimes who our representative is, but that changes depending on, I know that it just changed in our area. We got a new one. So
let me, okay. So I want to kind of talk something through, right? So say Killen, right, is now 14. We start thinking about transitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that transitional component is placed into the IEP right now. But when do you start the transition? What is that process like? How does that process happen?
So it starts even especially in our middle school, and they even just got a new PACE lab, which I wish I knew what that stood for. It's PAES, and
PACE lab,
and it's a bunch of different. This one has a bunch of different boxes and skills that they can learn. It's kind of some things that we suggested in the email, that they can practice certain skills in order to build on them.
Yeah,
and in order to be able to have a job. From
the IEP standpoint of it, before they turn 14, they are considered the area, the deficit area. So, for example, I'm not sure what Kellen's IEP looks like, but he might have a deficit area in reading, a deficit area in math, and a deficit area in pre-vocational. So that's what the younger students would look like. So those would be the deficit areas. So that pre-vocational would be those job, like that's where they work on those job skills, or those kind of overarching life skills, whether it be time management. Sometimes I see a lot of time management with
preparedness.
Preparedness. I see that with the younger groups. So once they turn 14, there's a whole next portion on that IEP that starts to get filled out. And it's going to be the transition page. So part of it kind of starts getting filled out before they're 14, but it really gets filled out once they turn 14. And so it'll have long-term goals for transition. So on our IEP specifically, when I'm writing them, I set the dates, or the years for those transition services. I set them for the first year they start high school to the year they're supposed to exit. And so that service or goal can kind of look like the student will
what normally starts
work on community involvement, will increase community involvement in order to work on job readiness skills and et cetera.
Or in order to prepare for post-secondary
independent living.
Yes. Or a post-secondary, like if they want to go to, like we have like Tiger Life, which is a post-secondary program, a modified program for people with disabilities and such like that. Then like it always starts out with whatever their goal is. It's very individualized in that way, because some people want to go to a post-secondary program. And some people want to go to a job.
Yeah.
Some people want to live independently. Some people never want to leave their siblings, So,
and so Kellen's right now probably says pre-vocational as his deficit area. And he should, if that's a deficit area, he should have a goal that coincides with the deficit area. And so once they get to the high school, we break that down even more, or once they technically turn 14, we break that down even more. And we usually have a deficit area in transition. We usually have a deficit area in daily living, or functional transition.
Mm-hmm.
And so, then that way that leads us to writing goals and objectives and focusing on daily living skills. And from there, that can be broken down to cleaning, cooking, and things like that. And then the transition, we kind of gear towards our work-based learning. So whether that be even like self-initiating, self-advocacy, things of that nature is what we really focus on as well.
Also, to mention that the state of Tennessee just switched over their IEP programs. So this is what we've used now. This we literally had a seminar thing today where it's just a new platform, like a new program that we're using. It's like, we still have our same IEPs that we're using until our annuals, but this verbiage might change, but it's the same. Like, I hope that you're understanding what we're trying to say and what we're doing through these goals, because we will still have these goals. They just might be called post-secondary preparation or something like that. They mentioned that to us today.
Like the title might change, but it's still
like there's no like
skills.
In the Transition Academy specifically, we do not have as many academic-based goals and objectives. They're primarily functional vocational, or transition vocational and transition functional vocational. And those are the two deficit areas that we think are the strongest to focus on at that point. And then under functional vocational, then we can have our reading goals, or like maybe money math, or working and understanding money and things like that, in order to prepare them in that way. So that it's not just, oh, they understand fractions. It's that they're focusing, like the state standards might want them to learn fractions because their peers know fractions, or they're working on things like that. But we're working on more specific life-based skills that they're going to need in order to successfully interact every single day in life. So
that makes sense.
It does. It does.
A lot of work.
You mentioned you have a kitchen at Houston High. Tell me, how does that kitchen operate within the goal setting? How does that work?
That goes under our daily living section. So we also have a washer and dryer in that room, and it's all right near each other. That we kind of have it set up so that we have our full kitchen, and then our washer and dryer. And then they also have a classroom portion to it as well. They also have, like, next to the, this is our friend Brian who does this, and they have a washer and dryer. And then next to it, they have a dresser, and then they have a rack for clothes and things like that. So they can practice,
like, hanging up your clothes. That's a daily living skill. That's a life skill.
Folding your clothes and putting them away in a drawer that's with coordinating, like objects and stuff like that, sorting like objects. And, which can start as simple as sorting colors and then sorting cups and knowing that they're the same and all that kind of stuff, up to the students that it's applicable and appropriate for them to assist in cooking on a stove, or starting from even making a sandwich to cooking mac and cheese in the microwave to cooking soup on the stove or things like that. Like, it's definitely like a building process. But even sometimes they do fun things where they might make something a little more complex and take a lot more time doing it, and they'd learn about it and think about it. And then everyone would get a job, and they know what their job is. And they're making the cake. So one person cracks the egg, and then another person pours in the flour and all this good stuff. So it really depends on the specific task, but that kitchen is going every week. And then they have to work on cleaning the kitchen after.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because that's, in order to have a kitchen where people can eat, can't be like school grounds.
Yeah. And then like the dishwasher is a big task that a lot of kids work on, is like unloading and loading the dishwasher, and then
again sorting like objects as far as that,
and putting them away and things like that. That's kind of how it operates. Mr. Brian does a good job of like kind of separating. And so like, it's kind of like, I would say like centers. It's kind of set up like centers. So you might have an assistant and a group of students working on laundry, or you might have an assistant of students working in the kitchen, or you might have a group of assistants and students working on cleaning.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Or there might be students that can do it independently because they've practiced and they have a vacuum and they have all the cleaning supplies and stuff like that. So
there's definitely a lot of moving pieces at all times in all of our classrooms, because I feel like we all kind of set it up where like each adult in the room takes a group of kids and does a task and like kind of rotate through the groups.
Could be the same task, could be different ones, could build on each other, could be completely separate. So
Caroline O'Malley, tell me, how did you develop those community partnerships to where you're able to take the kids, young adults, out sometimes into the workplace?
So we are fortunate enough we have 2 community vans that we use that are just exceptional as student educations. They're just ours. And like, we can use them to take them to Sam's, and also our transition coordinator is using them every day constantly. They're rarely at the school because they're taking a group of students, coming back, grabbing another group of students and taking them out in the community. But so in order to do this, the state has forms and all this good stuff that's like a community-based instruction form and like in order to be in the van. And then, of course, you've got to do the insurance and stuff. But these parents are so about it. It takes no time for us to get all these forms. We're like, hey, we want to take your kid on a job site. We need you to fill out this, that, and the other so they can ride in the van, and we get it. And we have a 13 passenger van. So like we can bring, I've brought
the whole class. Yeah.
I have brought a total of like 10 kids and 2 assistants to Sam's Club, and we go shopping for our candy cart, and then they have to stock the candy cart. And then on Fridays we go around and we sell on the candy cart and things like that. They just kind of like build on each other. And it's every single part of the process is the children. The children are doing it. They're making the shopping list. They're taking inventory to know what needs to be on the shopping list. And then they're selling on the candy cart. I'm like, assistants and teachers, we are just there to make sure that a gen ed kid isn't trying to sneak something off on them or something like that, or that they're making sure that they give the correct change, which all is, that's money skills, that's social skills. They have to announce and say, candy cart's here. And then like, thank you for your purchase, or thank you, come again type of thing. So there's a bunch of different skills that are involved in.
So neat, guys.
I will say though, I think it's just our transition coordinator calling all of these establishments in our area and reaching out to them and asking if
letting them know.
Yeah. And like
giving examples of things that we could do. We have like a nutrition tea place. I don't know if y'all have any of those where they like, it's like an energy tea and they mix those.
A little tea
Oh,
place.
yeah. We
Not real tea.
Yeah.
Like an energy drink.
Yeah. And putting stickers on the cups. Like we go and we work there, and they help out and do little tasks there. They unbox things, but then also they bring a sleeve or 2 of cups back and a ream of stickers, and our children have to put it on in the correct spot, facing the correct way. And
our
that's Mojo Nutrition. They're super awesome.
Yeah, Mojo Nutrition in Germantown. They are great. But that also includes the students who might not be ready to go out into the community yet, and understanding like students'
ability
where
level.
and where they're at, and just being like, okay, well, maybe you're not ready for this out into the community yet, but like, let's bring it back to school and practice here in a smaller, safer setting that is you're more comfortable with. And then maybe let's try to go out into the community later on.
Mm-hmm.
I will also, I think some community partners, if y'all are interested, like looking for them, I think that being able to give examples and lists of actual job tasks that they can do, I think that can lift some weight off of the community partner's shoulder. Because if you call and they're like, well, we want our kids to come in and work and do this, and then they have to think of things for them to do. If you kind of already have in the back of your mind a list of job tasks that they can do at that establishment, and
like we go and we fold pizza boxes for pizza
at Pyros
and Marco's and stuff like that. And so we also have pizza boxes to practice, so that these kids have to demonstrate that they can fold a pizza box before they get there, and they're spending 20 minutes trying to fold one box, and then it's time to go and you didn't get anything done, so that they can actually be productive and feel like they did a good job when they're there. We want to prepare them in order to do that. Also at places for like, we go to Dogtopia, where the reward is they get to go hang out with the dogs after, where it's a doggy daycare. And so they go and they clean the windows, and they might vacuum the floors and stuff like that. But then they get to hang out with the dogs. But in order to go there, then you need to be able to clean my whiteboard and make it look pretty, so that we know that you have these skills in order to do these things. So just to build on that, they clean windows and blenders at Smoothie King. They peel the bananas there as well. They do a bunch of different things there. They go to the Germantown Athletic Club, which is our local athletic club, and they check people in. They've got a little scanner that scans people's barcode. Love doing that. They think it's so much fun. They clean toys at a local church. They do a bunch of different things.
Guys, what an amazing program you'll have at Houston I. What are some of the avenues that are available after the Transition Academy?
That's kind of where we are struggling with too, because there's not a lot of offerings in the state of Tennessee about like what's next after you age out of the school system, because all these students stay till they're 22 and then they age out. And so we try our hardest to get them prepared to get the resources to get a job or to go to a modified college program. We do have a list of like some in the city of Memphis, some community not community partnerships,
just community opportunities that
like Thrive Memphis. So like places like that for the adults and older and adults with disabilities that have aged out
of the schools.
Of the school system. Because there's not a lot of facilities or day programs or continued education and learning. That's kind of why we're a part of the Memphis Disability Network, to kind of try to
connect some dots.
Yeah, connect some dots and help families and create resources.
Something we're trying to do more with our program. Last year, we got to go tour Tiger Life because it's local, and we got to take all of a group of our students that were either not considering coming back for the Transition Academy, or if they're aging out. We took them there, got to look around. They explained all these different places. We ate there. It was a really awesome field trip just to let these children experience and know what their opportunities are. And even the University of Memphis has a camp that can prepare them for transition services and job services. And that it's for the children that are up to 22. And I think that getting to go to that gave a lot of our students an idea that, hey, they might want to go here and do this one day. You know, you think about college and they probably think about their siblings who had to live in a dorm by themselves. But at the University of Memphis, you don't have to do that. You know, you can stay at home and make it your own and do what you want. So it's really cool, the different opportunities that you can have. And yeah. And we're hoping to bridge the gap there. I know that a year or two ago, I have a friend who's my age, which I'm about to be 27. Get down. And he graduated from Destination Dogs, which is the University of Georgia's program. And his mom, thankfully had the opportunity to move to Athens, Georgia. And he was one of the first graduating class of Destination Dogs, and he loves it. And now he is employed by the University of Georgia and does a little podcast. I think it's something about sports with Jordan, and it's amazing. And he has Down syndrome, and he is such a success story. It's so awesome. And we're trying to get connected with more of the programs like that so that we can get the word out. I know I went to Mississippi State for my undergraduate, and they have an amazing program called the Access Program. And I'd love to be able to Zoom with some of them and find out more information. So a bunch of awesome things that you don't even really know it's there. And I mean, I know that we've found out more and more through Memphis Disability Network and other avenues of opportunities that there are, and just having friends who have disabilities that go to different places. We had a really good friend who went to Union University and their EDGE program. And
we had some students apply for the Knoxville Future program.
Vanderbilt has a program.
And those programs they can be pretty pricey, but if that's
can also be kind of hard to get into just because they don't like to take an extensive amount of students so that they can really hone in on them and give them some really awesome skills, which I mean is beautiful, but it's also it's competitive. Yeah. So
that's our biggest hope and goal is to like really be able to we love working in the school system. But what's after that? Like what's after when they leave us? Like there's not much in the state of Tennessee.
It's not a promise that there's somewhere for them to go.
Yeah. And it makes us really sad because we have parents asking, well, what's next? And we're like, this is all we have to offer. Like we can provide you this information, but this is like the state of Tennessee, we need to be able to provide more.
Well, and these programs can't take everybody. Like they can't, there's got to be a cap. There's got to be a number that they have to cut something off. So just a need for more opportunities so that say one's overcrowded, then there's another one, that would be amazing. Or just also, I think that the world is really learning to adapt that, hey, these people want to work. And not everybody wants to work right now, but these people, they want a job and they feel so much worth and so much just fulfillment from a job and from finishing tasks and doing things like that.
Making your own money.
Yes. Being successful, that's a degree of success right there. And so I think that's really, it's definitely, since the movement of rights for people with disabilities was only 30 years ago, I think it's really developing into something that people are seeing the vision that we all have and that it's a growing thing. And even though the Transition Academy is new and it's just happening, I think that it's a growing situation that's going to hopefully move out and have a lot more opportunities for a lot more people.
Yes.
I think that's the thing, O'Malley and Caroline. We are very optimistic that there is that change in that mindset and that perspective. Have you guys had a Project Search?
Pre-COVID, I'm about 85, 90% sure that we were a part of Project Search at Baptist, which is Baptist Hospital. We would go there every single week, and they wanted us to start coming more. And we would take everyone who was over 18, and they would all go and do a variety of different jobs, including working at the front desk and directing people where they're supposed to go, because they knew the hospital up and down, left and right. Cleaning the lobbies and stuff like that, as well as we would bring the candy cart, and we would go to the level where the NICU is, or the new mothers, and go and sell candy to the mothers that had just given birth. So we would take the candy cart. Of course, this is all pre-COVID things that we did, but it was a very big growing part of our program. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we kind of had to revamp everything. And that's also why we started a lot more in-house jobs. And thankfully now, like for a while, we weren't able to go out in the community, or we definitely weren't able to go out as much as we used to. And now we're kind of back at that. And so now we have the inside part and the outside part. So they get the practice inside the school as well as going out in the community.
Yes, I think it's really important that the community buys in. Like there has to be community buy-in before like the community outings type thing. So like, it's really about just, I guess, exposing other people to people with disabilities. I know many people who've never met or even like really been around a child or an adult with a disability. And so I think it's about
just being unsure of how to interact with them and how to approach them. And people are scared to give them directive and things like that, which that's what they need. And especially, I know I was raised with a lot of friends who, like, I went to Houston High School, which is a public school. And of course, every public school is going to have students with disabilities. But if you go to a private school, you might go your whole life without knowing them, and interacting with them and being comfortable with them. And that can take some practice and getting used to. But I definitely think just meeting some of our students, and that's sometimes when they go and they look at these community job sites, they're like, oh, I'm going to bring this kid because he's going to sell this and he's going to make them want them to hang out with him. Mm-hmm. So that's super awesome that, it's just a learning curve. And I mean, it's not anybody's fault that they haven't been around people with disabilities, but it's just a new experience that I think that you can see the joy that people with disabilities bring to the world and how much they have to offer. So I think it's just, there's so many different pieces that are beautiful about being able to go out in the community.
Guys, what would be your wish for the future?
The wish in general, or our wish?
Yeah, our wish.
I mean, you can see we love animals, and she's got rescue animals, and I have 2 rescue dogs as well. And my mom and family have rescue animals and rescue pigs and all that kind of stuff. So our dream would be to hold a dog sanctuary or a dog rescue and strictly employ people with disabilities and have them do every single in and out of
the job. Yeah,
absolutely. Because that's 2 needs that need to be fit. Animals need a home and love and safety, and people with disabilities have so much love to give and so many abilities that could keep those animals alive and thriving. So that's our dream.
The specific dream. I mean, I guess just overall, like more opportunities and resources for adults with disabilities once they age out of the school system. Like we said, there's just not much to offer in the state of Tennessee. Like I have a few families that have already told me that once they age out of Houston that they will be moving to another state because there's just more opportunity. So
and even just more awareness, like we were talking about, like more opportunities could be as big as a program that is like a day program, and as small as someone who's willing to give a couple hours a week to a person, just to give them a shot. Like just awareness and acceptance would be in
community, like local establishments and corporations, employing adults with disabilities and giving them opportunities,
giving them a chance to learn, because
we believe in them. We know that they have amazing potential, but it's hard to sometimes to
see that if you don't understand,
to see it if you don't get it.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. So before we end off the podcast, are there any closing remarks that y'all would like to leave us with, Caroline and O'Malley?
Just to keep be hopeful about the future and really continue to push yourself as a parent or teacher to include your child or students with disabilities in daily things that you don't even think about those skills that you need, and just really try to incorporate and also get your community exposed to children and adults with special needs. I feel like that is one of our biggest pushes, hopes in life, and just pushes, is to really focus on getting the community to be accepting of our students.
And to realize how useful their work is.
Yeah, how talented they can be in the workplace.
And also, piggybacking on that, I definitely think the expectations for the students at home is a big thing. I think that a lot of our super successful students are not only held to a high standard here at school, they're held to a high standard as a teenager or as a young adult in their house. They're doing things such as taking the trash out or doing the laundry. And even though those things might take a little bit longer for them to do, or you might have to help them do it, that's branching them into independence. That is building those foundational skills that are so much more easy to practice at home and look more like the real stuff. Obviously we have dishwashers and we have washing machines and dryers and stuff, but it's not theirs. It's not, they share it with us, but it's not specifically what their parents are doing at home. And I think that it's completely different, and it's awesome to see that
generalization.
Absolutely.
And I'll say one last thing. Our biggest, I know when I'm talking to parents specifically, I am pretty upfront and say, we have them until they're 22, and then you have them for the rest of their lives. So what do you want us to teach them in order to make them the most independent they'll possibly be? Because again, they are only with us till they're 22. And my job is to prepare them for to be the most independent, employable, adult that they can possibly be. I just recently got the chance to visit the Access program at Mississippi State. I'm very impressed by their program. They've just really got it going on, and it would be really worth anybody who's interested to look into. They had a parent come and speak to us about how they had lower expectations for their kid than these teachers did at Mississippi State, and they didn't even realize it. That kind of thing of, I know sometimes they don't even know that they're doing it, but you can put limitations on your student just because you assume. And I think that you never know until you try. So many of our students that have been AAD and are now in the Transition Academy are focusing on totally different skills and trying it for the first time. And they may not get it the first time, but they're improving towards their independence, which is something super cool to see. So just
love it. Yes.
Open your mind.
Well, guys, just wishing you all the best for your program, as well as those students in the program, and hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much once again.
Tell Kellen we said hello.
I will. Have a great day, guys.
You too.